For years, Maya believed she had the perfect marriage. Her husband, Daniel, was charming, ambitious, and always spoke of wanting to climb the corporate ladder. They lived modestly in a cozy apartment, and Maya never flaunted her wealth or hinted at her lineage. Few knew that her late grandfather had built one of the largest multinational companies in the country, an empire she was destined to inherit once she turned 30. Maya, humble and grounded, worked quietly as a project coordinator in the same company, blending in with the staff and never drawing attention to her last name. Daniel, on the other hand, was obsessed with promotions, office politics, and recognition. She often overlooked his growing arrogance, telling herself it was just ambition. But beneath his polished smile lay an insatiable hunger for power and validation. Maya adored him deeply, believing their love was enough to withstand his ambitions. Yet, little did she know, Daniel's desires would soon lead him into the arms of betrayal. Daniel had always admired his boss, Vanessa Kingston, a glamorous, commanding CEO who exuded influence. Vanessa was older, sharp, and had no patience for mediocrity. She noticed Daniel's eagerness to please and fed his ego with praises and small favors. The more attention Vanessa gave, the more Daniel gravitated toward her orbit. Maya watched her husband transform. He started working late, dressing sharply, and spending less time at home. He brushed off her concerns, claiming he was securing their future. But Maya sensed an invisible wall rising between them. One evening, Daniel came home reeking of Vanessa's signature perfume, and when Maya questioned him, he snapped defensively. What Maya didn't tell him was that she already knew Vanessa from family gatherings. Her grandfather had often mentioned the woman as one of his trusted but ruthless executives. Maya suspected the seduction was not just personal but strategic. Vanessa wasn't only luring Daniel romantically, she was testing his loyalty, measuring how far he would go for ambition. It didn't take long for Maya's suspicions to be confirmed. She walked into the company's annual gala and caught Daniel and Vanessa holding hands in a corner, whispering intimately. The sight broke her heart, but she stayed composed, blending into the crowd. Daniel hadn't even noticed her presence. His eyes were fixed on Vanessa, as though he had already chosen a new future. Later that night, Daniel came home late, smelling of champagne. He confessed with shocking coldness that he no longer loved Maya and wanted to pursue a relationship with Vanessa. "She understands me," he said. "She sees my potential." Maya's chest tightened, but she didn't reveal her true identity, nor did she fight for him. Instead, she quietly agreed to his request, masking her pain behind a soft smile. Daniel mistook her silence for weakness, not knowing she was already planning her next move. Maya had always lived beneath the radar, but now it was time to step into the light. Her 30th birthday was only weeks away, and with it, the full inheritance of her grandfather's empire. She met with the board of directors privately, signing documents that transferred majority ownership to her name. The executives, who had long respected her grandfather, welcomed her with honor. "It's time they know who you are," one board member said with a knowing smile. Maya still wasn't ready to confront Daniel or Vanessa, not yet. She wanted them to reveal the full extent of their greed before she exposed herself. In the meantime, she continued working in her coordinator role, while quietly preparing to step into the CEO position. She could already picture the day when Daniel would realize the boss he betrayed her for was nothing compared to the true owner of the empire. Daniel moved out of their shared home and began parading around with Vanessa. He enjoyed the luxury of expensive dinners, weekend trips, and the prestige of being seen with the company's CEO. To him, it felt like he had finally arrived at the life he deserved. But cracks began to show quickly. Vanessa was demanding, controlling, and had little tolerance for mistakes. She treated Daniel more like a pawn than a partner, but his ego blinded him. Whenever Maya crossed his mind, he dismissed her as weak and forgettable. What he didn't realize was that Maya had become a force rising silently in the shadows. Vanessa, too, was unaware that her young rival was not just an abandoned wife, but the woman about to sign her termination papers. The day finally came when Maya was officially announced as the new CEO of Kingston Enterprises. The news sent shockwaves through the company. Employees who had once seen her as a simple coordinator were stunned to learn she was the rightful heiress. Vanessa, blindsided, stormed into the boardroom demanding answers, only to be shown her termination letter for misconduct and corporate manipulation. As for Daniel, he froze in disbelief when he saw Maya taking the CEO's seat with effortless grace. His heart sank, realizing the wife he had abandoned for power was the very embodiment of it. Daniel tried to approach Maya privately after the announcement, his voice trembling as he begged for forgiveness. "I made a mistake," he whispered. "You're the only woman I've ever truly loved." Maya looked at him calmly, her heart steady. "No, Daniel," she replied. "You love the idea of power. You never loved me." She reminded him of the nights she had stood by him, encouraging his dreams, only to be discarded like a worn-out shoe. The encounter left Daniel shaken, his arrogance stripped, his ambitions shattered. For the first time, he realized what true strength looked like, and it wasn't Vanessa's manipulation or his own empty ego. It was Maya's quiet resilience. Vanessa's downfall was swift and brutal. With the evidence of her mismanagement laid bare, she lost her position, her influence, and the board's respect. Her lavish lifestyle crumbled, and Daniel, who had hitched his dreams to her star, found himself spiraling with her. Vanessa quickly abandoned him, unwilling to carry dead weight. Daniel's grand illusion of success vanished overnight. Meanwhile, Maya stepped into her role as CEO with elegance, earning the loyalty of the staff and the admiration of the business world. She implemented her grandfather's vision of growth with integrity, proving she wasn't just a figurehead, but a capable leader. Maya's personal journey was just as powerful as her corporate one. Though her heart had been broken, she found healing in rediscovering her own strength and worth. She no longer defined herself by Daniel's approval or affection. She surrounded herself with supportive friends, mentors, and employees who believed in her. Slowly, she began to imagine a future where love was possible again, not the kind built on ambition and betrayal, but the kind rooted in respect and authenticity. She didn't rush. She simply allowed herself to flourish as a woman who no longer needed validation. Daniel, now jobless and humiliated, watched Maya from afar as she thrived. He tried one last time to win her back, showing up at her office with flowers, but she didn't even grant him a meeting. Instead, her assistant returned the flowers with a note. "Power was never yours to take. Love was never yours to fake. Goodbye, Daniel." That was the final nail in the coffin of his pride. Meanwhile, Maya stood tall, not as a woman defined by her husband's betrayal, but as the rightful heiress, leader, and survivor of her own story. Her revenge was never loud. It was in her success, her peace, and the knowledge that the man who had abandoned her for power was left with nothing while she had everything.